From Agri-Food, I'm James Kotecki, and this is the Point Cloud. We are on location at the AIM for Climate Summit in Washington, D.C., and joining me from Canada is Gilles Saindon. You are the Assistant Deputy Minister for Science and Technology in the Agriculture and Agri-Food departments of your government. You're also your department's chief scientist. Did I get all that right?
That's correct. You got all of that right. It's a mouthful, eh?
Okay. Well, welcome to the summit, and thank you for joining us here today. We were talking just before we started rolling. There is a deep sense of urgency. We're obviously feeling it here at the summit. What's your perspective on the urgency that we need to have towards more innovation in this area?
I think the urgency is loud and clear. We heard it like many times during the conference here, in many type of way, shape, or form. But I think the Earth is warming. It's warming fast. It's kind of almost out of control. Like it's just like it's warming up faster than we thought. So we heard all kinds of signals this morning, like going all the way to it's no longer climate change, but it's climate crisis. But I don't know, I cannot really judge that. Like I'm not an expert in climate, but the reality is agriculture has a big role to play. And I think we can go and really help this challenge we have worldwide.
So what brought you to the AIM for Climate Summit?
Well, it's an opportunity to compare notes with colleagues from other organizations, to see what's going on, the magnitude of the synergy that is being developed among the various countries, and the major involvement of the private sector as well. Like there is a lot of entrepreneurship in this whole thing. There are various angles. People try to come with solutions, but not only to talk in terms of intangible ways. I think it's very embedded into realities, and I think there are real solutions that are kind of there already, and I think we just have to make sure that we scale them up.
Are there certain parts of the innovation pipeline, if you will, that you think are the most blocked? If you could wave a magic wand and put energy or resources into one specific part, is it discoveries in the lab? Is it actually getting it out to the field and getting it in the hands of growers and other purveyors who are in the field? Where do you think about that?
I think it's both. I think it's very important because it has eventually to get in the hands of the producer, and it has to get in the hands of the public, the citizen as well, but they'll see the consequences of this. So we often talk about best management practices that will just help mitigate or adjust to different climate activities and all of that. So that's very important. It gets in the hands of the producer. But in order to get in the hands of the producer, you need the innovators that will just translate this into economic activities, practices, tools, widgets, like all kinds of tools that are pretty cool, as a matter of fact, that you can do remotely and all of that. But also what's important is we have to keep the pipeline of discovery full. So you have to, as a research organization, that's our role, not only we want to make sure that it's scaled up at the right level, but it's also important that we continue to increase the level of discovery, the level of knowledge, because that's the innovation of tomorrow. And I think we need more than the innovation of today. We need the innovation of tomorrow and probably the innovation of the day after tomorrow as well. So pipeline is critical.
You and I talked about the concept of living labs a bit before we started this interview. Can you share a little bit more about what that is? Speaking of different kinds of innovation, it seems like that's one that you're focused on.
Well, that's something that we established, like we pioneered in Canada, in fact, as an innovation coming out of the G20. We got a lot of help from a number of countries, including the United States. They were early with us on this venture of living labs, which is basically a place where you bring the innovator, the scientists, the industry leaders and all of that, and the farmers to come together and co-develop possible solution based on existing science that is already out there. So basically, we call this scaling up best management practices. And these living labs are a place where we work with the stakeholder, the farmers and indigenous communities, for example, that are in the landscape, and can they shift their way of doing business. And they see it in action, the improvement of the mitigation to climate change, greenhouse gas reduction. They go with cover crop, they go with a different way of split application of fertilizer, things that we know already. If they scaled up at the global level, it will have an impact. Then it's just the beginning. So and we've put together a program under Agricultural Climate Solution in the department. It's a 10-year program in the department. We're doing living lab investment to help producers to scale up. So they'll become the early adopter, the passionate people that will just talk to their colleague farmers and all of that. We've also put some programming in help the producer to get some government money to help buy some of the equipment that he needs, some of the the procedure that they have to implement at the farm, it costs money. So the department also has a program at the farm level to help with that. So it's complementary.
Reminds me of the idea of a business incubator.
It's kind of, but we know that there was a body of knowledge that was kind of out there, like known.
Yeah.
And if we can only scale it up, if we can only give it in the hands of the producer, that would be just wonderful. That was the idea at the beginning. How to do that? You get them involved from the get-go with the scientists. And scientists, they do tech transfer, but there is nothing like having to interact with farmers on a daily basis and farming organization and helping shape the future.
Have there been any themes or conversations here at the summit that have surprised you?
Well, I think there's quite a lot of advances. We were fascinated by something about the calculation of the carbon level in the soil. There's technology that we are kind of pioneering also in Canada that is measuring carbon at the right level, and it's all in a way that it could be brokered in a carbon credit system. I'm not really an expert in carbon credit system. I don't know how it's going to evolve, but I think it starts with good data, and that's what they're kind of working on right now. A lot of times we use models to do this, but they have to be validated. So credibility in the data, I think, is very important. And will it make a difference? Carbon credit markets, I don't know, but it won't hurt.
Final thoughts here at the Aim for Climate Summit today.
I think it's just the beginning. I think there's a lot of moving parts right now. People are getting excited. A lot of motivation here, like a lot of big ideas that are being promoted. And I think you have it's almost infinite number of opportunities, and you just have to pick and choose, but be committed to this whole thing. And I think that's my final.
Well, fantastic. Yeah. Well, thanks so much for sharing your time with us. Gilles Saindon, Chief Scientist, Agriculture and Agri-Food, Canada. Thanks so much for joining us.
Thank you. Thank you.
And thank you so much for watching. This is The Point Cloud. I'm from Agerpoint. My name is James Kotecki, and you're with us at the Aim for Climate Summit in Washington, D.C.